Welcome again to the channel, and this is the first Booker Longlist review that I'm going to do on this channel. I will not do the Booker Dozen, I will not do 13 reviews because I won't be reading all these novels. I try to get to as much as possible, but I will also ruthlessly DNF if I don't like what I get. So, the first book I want to talk about is a book that I love, that everybody loved. But there was one guy on BookTube actually that really didn't love James that much. Yeah, I'm talking about James by Percival Everett. I don't understand why it didn't win the Pulitzer, but it's a novel by a great American author, Percival Everett, who has done sort of a nod to Mark Twain, the great American author. I remember my Norwegian-American professor, Alan J. Hansen from the University of the Pacific in Stockton, California. May you rest in peace, sir. You were the greatest teacher in my life, and you sort of also initiated my love for literature. R.N.J. Hansen, he said once in his lectures in Aachen when he was a guest professor there, he said that American literature actually started for him with one book, with one novel written by a guy named Samuel Clemens, aka Mark Twain, and this novel is called The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. The first really American novel, according to Mr. Hansen, Professor Hansen. I haven't read that book, honestly. I have to say that I haven't read Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn until now. I think I read a chapter now from the book, and I will absolutely read it. I know that it's banned in some school districts because of a very frequent use of the N-word, but Mark Twain was, as we know, Mark Twain was anti-slavery. But he wrote this book sort of shortly after the Civil War in the United States. I think it came out in 1865 or 66, something like that. And there's Huckleberry Finn, this young boy, very poor boy in the state of on the Mississippi River, together with the slave Jim, who's running away from his owners, from his tormentors, I would say. And Percival Everett is a great Afro-American author, apparently, in the 21st century. He's one of the greatest authors probably living in America right now. And he took a nod. He loves Mark Twain's book, he loves Mark Twain's work. He wanted to retell the story of Huckleberry Finn out of the perspective of Jim the slave. And so we have the narrator, Jim, who's telling his story. He is sort of disguising his intellect. He is much more intelligent than the white people think, who hold him captive, who think that they can sort of decide over his life, and they can sell him to each and everyone who buys him. Buy humans. That's impossible. This novel is really gave me, I think it was the first novel, James by Percival Everett, that I read with dealt so much with slavery, and it sort of gave me a deeper insight. I obviously knew from history lessons, obviously knew from what I learned in history and in documentaries, that this was one of the biggest crimes in the history of mankind, what the white people did to the millions of African people that they sort of forced to come to America. Hundreds of thousands were killed, and women were raped and sexually assaulted all the time, and black people had no rights. We know that the American wealth was actually built on slavery, and I haven't really gotten so close yet to that subject as in this novel. Maybe it was different for me because I'm European, but listening to that story, feeling that story out of Jim's perspective, when he's going down the river with Huck Finn, that was for me really an eye-opener, another eye-opener. And it got so deep into my thinking that I'm still thinking a lot about this book. And it's not only this, it's much more that makes this book a masterpiece, a 5-star read, everybody. What makes this book a 5-star read is that Percival Everett is an amazing narrator. He's really delivering the story with a lot of gut punches when bad things happen to the people in this book, but he also delivers it with a smile, with a twinkle in his eye, because there's, even in the bad things that are happening all the time, there's some sort of humor, and Yeah, and there's humanity, which makes Percival Everett such a great author. It's a very human book, but it's also a book that is very traditionally narrated. In Booker, the Booker Prize sort of aficionados or aficionadas, they usually sort of love the Booker because it gives always books on the long list and even on the short list that are very experimental fiction, that are not easy to read at all times, not really interesting to read at times. I will come to another book in another video. But this book is very traditionally narrated. James by Percival Everett. You have a chronological story from start to finish. There are some memories that Jim is inflicting, is telling. And there's so much happening, so many characters, so many colorful characters. Some are actually taken from Mark Twain's original. Some others Percival Everett has made up. There's a story about the minstrels. I didn't know about the minstrels of the 19th century, a horrible movement actually of white people blackfacing and singing in choirs and pretending to be black people. Horrendous. They sort of, in one segment of the book, they buy Jim from another guy. I think Jim is sold like 3 or 4 times in the book. And they sort of engage him as a real black singer in this white choir who's blackfacing themselves, which is horrible. Story that I didn't know about, and one of the many, many, many crimes of the 19th century. I made this video about banned books, if you know. You've probably seen that, hopefully. If not, please subscribe to the channel, because my channel, actually, if you like what you see right now, please subscribe to the channel, because this channel has come to a screeching halt, and I think it should grow. Back to the video. So, Percival Everett has done a great job. He has written a great novel. I'm sure that this book will be banned in some counties, some school counties, probably in Florida, probably in Texas, because it opens the eyes of people, it opens the eyes of people who want to forget everything about slavery, want to forget everything about the mass murder of black people in the United States, and about how they were used to build enormous wealth. But this is a great story. Actually, I think you have to read Huckleberry Finn, and I will do that, promise, and I will make a single review about Huck Finn as well. I hope that this book makes the shortlist in a few weeks, and I'll see you soon in another Booker review. Wow, bye.